Well, here we are again. And I've got to commend Senator Steele-John because this is an area that he does want to see some scrutiny. Unfortunately, we've just seen another guillotine hours motion from the government because they can't manage the chamber, once again supported by the Greens to cut scrutiny. But at least in one area, the Greens are keen on a bit of scrutiny, the NDIS. Not so much about sheep, not so much about farmers in WA. See you later. We can get rid of your work conditions. We can get rid of your jobs. We can get rid of your industry. But when it comes to the NDIS, at least the Greens will stand up for a bit of scrutiny when we're ignored from this government. And why are we ignored by this government? Well, and why are we here? For those benefit of those in the gallery, why we're here is because the government has said it's going to cap growth of the NDIS, but we don't know how. We don't know how they're going to cap the growth. Apparently the states are going to come to the party and roll out these foundational supports, all the supports that they stopped delivering when the NDIS came into play, because the NDIS was basically like a plane built once it had taken off. The Labor government, under Bill Shorten, the now Minister for the NDIS, and former Prime Minister Julia Gillard, they were so keen to get this NDIS up and running, and they had bipartisan support, could have taken the opportunity to actually map it out, but no, they had to get it up in the air, plane that was not built yet. And one of the factors with that was the then Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, said to the states, don't worry, doesn't matter how much the scheme grows, the Commonwealth is going to pick up the tab outside of what you contribute. So the states went, you beauty, let's get rid of all the community health services that we delivered, no more community OTs, no core community speech therapists, any of those supports are gone. Local psychologists don't have them anymore under the community health system because the states vacated the field. But then it got worse because all of a sudden now in education, supports that are the responsibility of the state government to make sure that kids can go to school and are supported appropriately, the NDIS comes in and the education departments go, ripper. We don't have to fund those anymore because we're just going to tell parents, get a bit more NDIS funding and you can do it all after school. So we're seeing continuing rising rates of school refusal. We know that kids are in the classroom who need supports that are actually disrupting classrooms, not being supported, not being able to access the appropriate education. Don't worry about that, though, because the Gillard NDIS was going to pick up the tab for everything. So we've now got to a point where when we were in government, we said there are sustainability issues here. This thing is getting too big, too quick, too many people, and the services that we cannot keep paying for this at the rate that it's going. No, 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 said Opposition Minister then, Bill Shorten, saying we are kabuki theatre players, pearl-clutching kabuki theatre players. There's no problem with the sustainability, it's all good. So then Minister Shorten comes into the NDIS, finally has a look at the books and actually goes, oops, oops, this is getting bigger than Ben-Hur and there are sustainability issues. So Minister Shorten's now decided that he's going to cap the growth of the NDIS. So how do you cap a demand-driven scheme? You cap it with the number of participants or you cap it with what the cost of their plans are? We don't know, because this government will not provide the financial modelling that allowed them to make the claim of an 8% growth cap. But what's even worse is we're currently looking at a bill, and we're only still looking at the bill because we managed to get through the Senate an extension of the Community Affairs Legislation Committee into this bill that had previously had 2.5 days of hearing. We've very kindly been granted another 2 days of hearing, so 4.5 days of hearings will be in total for some of the biggest reforms to the NDIS that is life-changing for 660,000 Australians and their family. But we are being denied the financial modelling because it will somehow upset the relationship with the states. Well, let me tell you, we're going to hear from the states during those 2 days because we're going to find out what foundational supports they think they've been signed up to, because they don't know. You've only got to listen to every education minister at a state level, every premier at a state level, every health minister at a state level, even the justice ministers at a state level. They don't know. And a lot of these states have just had budgets, and guess how much money went into NDIS foundational supports? Zero. So to every single NDIS participant in your family, we will keep coming back until we get some answers.